listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good evening, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast. On this Wednesday, September the 18th, I am your host, Michael Leva, joined, as I am each and every Wednesday, by 2020 Miami Dolphins Fan of the Year, Big E, Ian Berger. Ian, how you doing tonight?
Present.
You're here. We're all here. Kind of still in the shell shock from last Thursday, I think. But that's why tonight's show is going to be a bit of a therapy session. Anything Ian's got to get off his chest, he has unlimited time. Anything, we're all going to get it off our chest. We're all going to cope. We're going to vent. We're going to talk it out, as they say. Because that's the healthy thing to do. Talk it out. And then we're going to, put this all behind us. I'm going to move on to Seattle week 3. But I think it's only healthy. Use this as like a venting therapy session type show. Because we're all a little down in the dumps if you're a fan of the Dolphins for numerous reasons. And we'll talk about that here on tonight's show. But before we get to that, as always, a big shout out to the sponsor of tonight's show, Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Heat, the Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a gift, or the newest hat to hit the market of your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, Caneswear has it all. If you're not in South Florida, don't worry. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home. And yes, they will ship internationally as well. Caneswear.com is the spot that all Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com. Also, before we start, Dolphins Talk Extra. If you haven't signed up, what are you waiting for? Everyone go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. It's only $3 a month or $5 a month. We have a private message board with a lot of very good conversations taking place over there that you can be a part of. We got extra podcasts, bonus podcasts. Josh was driving home the other day, I think from the airport, turned on his phone, did a 30-minute show to get it all off his chest as he was driving. You get bonus content like that, extra shows each and every week. So everyone go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk and get some more content. And, if the season kind of goes sideways over there, we can talk about other stuff, not football related, which might be really, really fun at some point. Let's hope it's not the case, but that's kind of why it's there. All right. We all know what happened last Thursday. The Miami Dolphins were once again embarrassed by the Buffalo Bills, and in the process, lost their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, to another concussion. It stinks. It really stinks. And I know, if you're a fan of this team, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It just stinks. So, Ian, take as much time as you want, because I'm going to take as much time as I want. So you take as much time as you want. You let every thought and feeling out of your head. Just spill your guts, because I guarantee you'll feel better when you do.
I feel like I've already, over the last couple of days, I've spilled my guts to whoever has an ear and wants to listen to me, and starting with my wife and my kids and my friends and everybody who went to the game. And I actually had one of the super fans, as I was walking out, he messaged me the next day. He's like, dude, are you okay? I saw you as you were leaving the stadium and you did not look good. And I was like, did any of us feel good after the end of that? So with all that said, Mike, first of all, two things can be true. Number one, we're 2 weeks into the season. This season is not lost yet. All right. 2 weeks into the season, a lot of things can happen. We could win some games here. We could lose a bunch of games. We don't know, but I'm going to be the first to say, I'm not throwing this season away. Yeah. Two are gone for the next 5 weeks, including 1 week, which is a bye. At minimum, does stink, but you got to give the kid a chance. You got to give Skyler a chance. He has not really had, I think, this type of weaponry in the backfield at the wide receiver position. But I'm going to go back to the game on Sunday.
Thursday.
I'm sorry, Thursday night. There are two comments or two segments of the game that I want to talk about. Number one, before Tua got hurt. What were we doing? I felt like I was watching a game that was being coached by Adam Gase. I honestly felt like, what's the play call here? Screen to the left, screen to the right, screen to the left again, screen to the right. And when you have players like Tyreek Hill, when you have a player like Jaylen Waddle, when you have a Jonnu Smith who's supposed to be a pass-catching tight end, is supposed to help you significantly, you're supposed to use those weapons. And if I remember correctly, sitting there in the stadium, there was one pass that was over 25 yards, and that was to Tyreek Hill, and he was being double covered, but we didn't try after that. And then, thank goodness for Devon Achane, because he's really kind of the bright spot, I'd say, on this offense at the moment, because he was able to make some nice runs, and he was able to take some of those screens and get some extra yards. He was able to help us get some first downs. But it just felt like, Mike McDaniel, and I love him to death, and I've told you before, and I've said it on this show that I have the utmost amount of respect for him. I just feel like that game plan that we had coming out on Sunday was not good. And then on the opposite side, on the defense, the run stopping issue that we thought was going to happen in preseason, because we didn't have Christian Wilkins anymore, kind of showed its head. We could not stop the run for anything. I was thinking that we were going to have to stop Josh Allen from running. I think he had one run for like 10 yards. And what did he do at the end of his run, Mike, when he went to the ground and there were defenders by him? He slid, right? He slid. He didn't try to get extra yards. He slid. And actually, I think a couple other times when he was running and he knew he was kind of outnumbered, he actually slid. And, he's a tough guy. He's playing through a non-throwing hand injury, and he's still able to do these things. But he didn't kill us. It wasn't the Josh Allen show. It was really the running back show. It was our defense wasn't where we needed it to be. On offense, we weren't playing where we needed to play. And it just felt like our game plan, we came out flat for the second week in a row. And you can't do that against the Buffalo Bills. And this stinks. And I know I'm always optimistic. And I did pick the Dolphins to win that game. But I don't know against the Bills if I can pick the Dolphins to win against the Bills until they actually show it again. And I mean, this is me, and I'm ultimate homer. You know how that is. And it is so frustrating for me. And then the Tua situation. First of all, I'm a big fan. When people ask me who my favorite player is on this team, I say Tua, right? And I think I think he's got the right personality. I think he's got the right leadership skills, and he does have skills, even though I know we've had 2 games where we haven't really been able to see all of his skills being showcased. But the one thing that I think the coaches have told him probably 50 to 100 times over the last 2 years, if you're running outside the pocket, do not try and get extra yards. You need to slide. Do not go head first. You need to slide. And I don't know if it's just his competitive nature that makes him try and get the extra yard or extra 2 yards. He had already made the first down. Had he slid, he would have made the first down. And let's say he didn't make the first down. He would have been able to at least come back. He would have been able to play the game. So that was it was sad to see him out there. The place went silent. Even the Buffalo Bills fans, were very, very respectful of the situation. And you just don't want to see anyone, let alone our guy who has gone through this, and we've seen firsthand him go through this. And now it adds, all these other questions by the media and fans about what his future should be, even though ultimately it's up to him what his future is going to be. And then you get, it's 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. And you think, all right, we're down 3 scores. There's a couple minutes left in the 3rd quarter. If Skyler can figure out a way to punch it in, at the 7-yard line, then maybe there's a chance. You're only down 14 points. Maybe we can muster something. Maybe we can rally, and maybe we can get this closer and we can make this a game. But it doesn't happen. Our guys, offensive line, we end up losing 2 offensive linemen again. Teron Armstead, they said they took him out as a precaution, right, because of his shoulder. And then who was the other one? Robert Jones, was that right? Robert Jones was also pulled out. So you had two of the backup guys on the left side, which, by the way, is the worst side for Skyler. That's not as bad for Tua, but that's the worst side for Skyler. And they just couldn't do anything either. So it was just all in all a very disappointing, very depressing evening. But like I said at the very beginning, Skyler's going to have a week under his belt with the starters, which I know he's had some opportunities to do that in the preseason as well. And these next 4 games against we got Seattle, we've got Tennessee, we've got the Patriots, and we've got the Indianapolis Colts. I don't think we go 0-4 for those. That's my opinion. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but anyway, it's disappointing. Glad to see Tua's doing okay. I think most importantly out of anything, it's, that's important, but to do that again when the whole world is watching Thursday night under the bright lights, we are just destined for whatever we get, I guess. I feel like we have been cursed and we continue to be cursed, and I don't know how we get out of this funk, Mike. So that's all I got.
Yeah, it's not a curse. It's bad decisions. Bad decision not to slide. Bad decision by the head coach. Bad decisions by the general manager. I hate I hate when people say curse. It's not curse. People in power make bad decisions. So that's what it's been for 25 plus years. That's what it will continue to be. Real quick, I'll talk about the game quick before I get to Tua. The game before the injury to Tua. Sorry for swearing. He played like shit. And I know that's been overlooked with the injury, and I get it. I'm not stupid. But for a quarterback, we just paid $230 million. That performance was unacceptable on every level. And that was prior to an injury. 2, Sean McDermott embarrassed Mike McDaniel again in a head-to-head matchup and outcoached him 6 ways to Sunday again. Going back to last season, if you count Miami's last 3 games, the Kansas City playoff game, Week 1 Jacksonville, Week 2 versus the Bills, 2 of Mike McDaniel's worst coaching performances ever have come in those 3 games. The Kansas City game, which everyone likes to say it was injuries. The game plan sucked anyways. Even if they were healthy, they weren't going to win. And this past week versus the Bills is by far his worst coaching performance ever. I don't even know what the game plan was this past week. He's up there on Monday making excuses why on 3rd down, Hill and Waddle aren't even on the field. Well, if I'm the owner, I'm saying, what the F am I paying them for then? If you're not even going to put them on the field. And he gave some word salad of an answer that was embarrassing. And 4, not punting in the first half at midfield in close games. Of course, Josh Allen doesn't have to do much. You give him a short field.
What was their average? Their average starting spot was 46-yard line, right? That was what their average starting spot.
46, not even their own. That's on the coach. Clock management at the end of the first half. Embarrassing. You're losing. You're dinking and dunking, taking your time. Oh, I have no time left. I guess we got to settle for a field goal. It's like, what is he doing? And here's someone else who's been flying under the radar, and I'm going to put him on blast just because he's been so abysmal. Again, nobody's talking about this guy because there's so much other big stuff happening. Jordan Poyer needs to retire. If anyone really watches that game on Thursday and actually knows what they're watching, Jordan Poyer was so bad. And he was bad versus Jacksonville too. But again, it gets overlooked with everything else happening because we have like a million big stories. Who's looking at like the starting safety? Jordan Poyer, I don't know why the Bills was in no rush to re-sign him. He is the biggest liability right now on that side of the ball, and it's not even close. So that's a whole game in a nutshell. Our big-time quarterback stunk. The offensive line was worse than it was in Week 1, and the head coach, I have no idea what he's doing anymore. I mean,
I got to add one more piece I forgot to talk about too, Mike.
Go for it, because I'm going to go on a long rant. Go.
All right. So the wide receivers outside of Waddle and Tyreek, I saw a statistic that said that the Miami Dolphins quarterback rating to anyone outside of Tyreek and Waddle is a 0.00 quarterback rating. That is ridiculous. That's to wide receivers, not talking about tight ends, because I know it's not talking about running backs either.
And I know some of it's injuries. I will be fair there.
But as you said, that's by choice.
That's
right?
by choice. Again, this all goes back to Grier in roster construction at the end of the day. He signed an injured Odell Beckham, if he's telling the truth. Because what they say at the podium, if it's a lie or true, I have to assume it's true. Otherwise, they're just, if they were to say, look, we signed him, we didn't know he was hurt, or he got hurt after we signed him, cool, not your fault. But since you're saying that's not the case and you signed him knowing you're injured, that's on you then. And if that's not true, then you should have lied. Then you shouldn't have lied about it. So him, Ritter Craycraft out of their control. Weird thing had happened. Washington, again, kind of out of their control. But the Odell Beckham one's going to be a tough pill to swallow here because he's on a pup, not playing, and they kind of need him badly. Okay, on to Tua. As I say, and I know you go on social media, it's a toxic cesspool. You see podcasts that are very low rent, and it's constant arguing and bickering over stuff that doesn't matter. We're all adults here, and as adults, we can hold multiple thoughts in our head at the same time. And this is a nuanced topic that fans and the organization are going to have to navigate in the next few weeks, next few months, and over the next year. And, as adults, one of our thoughts we can hold in our head is we send our best wishes to the quarterback, number one, the captain, Tua, wish him a speedy recovery, wish the best for him and his family, nothing but the best. At the same time, I can have a thought in my head that say, for the team we root for, the team I've rooted for before Tua got here, the team I'm going to root for after he leaves, whenever that is, they got a quarterback problem, and they got a big quarterback problem. In my opinion, they got 15 more games left this year. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I want to root for him to win for a while, but I think the season shot. I mean, Skylar Thompson. You can give him all the practice with the ones that, in my opinion, I hope I'm wrong. I seriously hope I'm wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's got to retire. He should come back to his body, his decision. And here's what I say. Honestly, I don't even care. And I don't say I don't care in an insulting, cruel, or callous way. I say I don't care because it's his decision, one. And two, as a fan of this team, whether he comes back or not, the Dolphins still have a quarterback problem. This is where the nuance comes in, folks, because in the short term, you got 15 more games left this year. Maybe he comes back in a month. Maybe he comes back in 6 weeks. Maybe he comes back in 8 weeks. Maybe he doesn't come back this year. I don't know. And again, if he does, great. Welcome him back with open arms. If he doesn't come back, if he hangs it up, I totally understand. Your body, your decision. But the long-term problem at quarterback is this. And I don't care about the contract they give him. There's outs there where they can move on, after 2024, after 2025, after 2026. Yeah, it's going to be a little painful, but it's not going to be, drastically painful, all depending on how they work this. The trust with Tua and the fans, the trust with Tua and the organization is broken. We saw in 2023, he put on some weight, got rid of the ball quick, he slid, he protected himself, he protected his body, and he played every game. And we thought he lost some weight. Fine, because he wants to be more agile, he wants to be more nimble, wants to get out of the pocket, extend plays. If you're going to throw the ball quick and you're going to slide and you're going to run out of bounds to protect yourself, great. Well, he didn't. So the trust is broken. So now, and plus, he's also a ticking time bomb now. Because if he does come back, again, great. He's welcome back. No one's saying he come back. I don't care. Every game, every play, you're going to hold your breath. Not as fans, the coaches, the owner, the general manager, and everyone else working in Miami Gardens. So you can't run a successful organization this way. You cannot expect to win this way. You can't win games this way. You can't win a division this way. You damn sure ain't winning a Super Bowl this way. So, and I know there's people out there right now going, well, other players have concussions too, and other players get injured too. Folks, cut the bullshit out. We keep it 100 here. His are different. His are unique. So put that stuff somewhere else. And I'm not hating him. I'm just stating facts, folks. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Because here's the deal. The Skylar Thompsons of the world have to depend on them every time this happens. You ain't going to win. So the Dolphins, and you can't go out there and sign a Russell Wilson to be your number two because the salary cap to have two guys like that is impossible. Next year in the draft, Miami's got to be in for a quarterback rounds 1 or 2, preferably round 1 because you get the fifth-year option and you can control him for an extra year. Because whether he comes back or not, again, irrelevant. If he comes back, great. You know why? Because then you got someone on the bench ready to go who is your future. And you also have an entire offseason with the combine and the pre-draft process and the interviews where you can target who fits your system, fits your culture, fits everything that you want, that you can target and get. If you got to trade multiple picks to move up, so be it, you do. Because what they're doing isn't going to work. Tyler Huntley wasn't even on a roster. He was on someone's practice squad. Great, you got him. I'll take him over some of the other options, but can't get excited over Tyler Huntley here. And that's the problem the Dolphins are navigating. Short term, we got to try to win games with Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley. Yeah, because no one wants to punt on the season yet. Although if they go 0-4 the next 4, then it makes no sense to even have them come back to because your season's over. Why are you even going to risk him for anything? Same thing for Chubb. Why would he come back? Season's over. Why risk him for anything? Same thing for even Armstead, at that point, you're looking at October like, okay, our season's kind of over. Who we trading to get picks? And it's going to be those guys, Armstead and Chubbs. Will maybe send them to a contender, get a 5th round pick or a 4th, whatever. I don't know what the market is. But that's where we are as a franchise. And I don't think some fans have grasped that yet. Again, he comes back, he doesn't come back. It doesn't change the big picture where this organization is moving forward, and that they need their quarterback of the future, because the one they just paid and they have can't be trusted to protect himself anymore. And the hit he took for Hamlin wasn't violent. It was mundane, just like the hit versus the Packers that got him the cut. These aren't violent hits. So, we all thought, if he was going to slide, get rid of the ball, he'd be fine. But if he's not going to do that, then the organization's got to make a tough call. And it's not personal. It's just business. And he's going to get his money one way or another. Maybe not all of it, but he get a big chunk of it. He never got to work. He never got to work again a day in his life starting. I mean, he really doesn't. But it's just, that's where we are. And it stinks. No fan wants to be. I don't want to do this show tonight. You don't want to do this show tonight. But as fans of the team, that's our reality now. And, these fans like you and many others pour their heart into this team, the money into this team, emphasis on money, and they put so much into this team that at some point you got to face your reality and go, as much as we love this kid and we don't want to see him get hurt and we want to win with him, we're not going to be able to go where we want to go with him. And it's not because he had one bad half versus the Bills and he was so bad. If they were lost to the Bills and he doesn't get hurt, yeah, there's criticism. He's got to do
But then
better.
we can win the next 4 games, right? We look at it that way.
Yeah, but that's normal football talk. What we're talking about here is nothing to do on the field. It's his brain. If it, is one of these concussions, the next one's going to be the last one. Maybe it's not this one. It might, but if he comes back, maybe it's later this year. Maybe one of these are going to be the last one, and he's getting them again on nonviolent hits. That's the scary part, Ian.
Mike, and I was talking to somebody. I said it's like telling your young kid, don't put your hand on the hot stove.
Until they do
Don't
it.
put your hand on the hot stove. And you say it how many times? And you say it how many times? And they still do it anyway. And they learn. And this was really nobody's fault but Tua's, right? The last one, which I think the last major one was against Cincinnati. You could say it was the offensive line. It's partly Tua because he held on to the ball a little longer, right? Yeah, but still the offensive line didn't give him all that much time either. So you could say that. The other one was, again, against the Bills. I guess the first one that he got knocked in the back, that one was holding the ball a little bit too long. But again, you could almost say, all right, the offensive line didn't give him a lot of time. It allowed for the rusher to come through from the Bills. But this time, he was a free runner. He was trying to make an extra yard or two, and he said he was going to risk it. And I think my concern is this is kind of inherent with him. Because if you've had the coaches who've been kind of yelling in your ear, not yelling, but have been saying, listen, here's an opportunity for you to slide. Okay, here's another opportunity for you to slide. Okay, you could have slid here because, if you didn't slide here, you could have gotten yourself hurt. And he goes out in a game and he thinks it's going to make a big difference because I think he's probably taking blame for the fact that we were down 3 scores at that time. And I mean, honestly, one of the interceptions was his fault because he just kind of threw it up in the air and the defender got it and ran it back for a touchdown. But still, it's kind of inherent with him. So he does come back, and let's say he comes back in 6 weeks. You've got to just hope that he's, and here we are hoping, and hoping isn't really necessarily a strategy, but you got to hope that he's not going to do that again because, as these concussions happen, I think the noise gets louder. The criticism gets louder. The community of people that think that he should call it a career gets louder because, again, they're looking at Tua as the human and not Tua as the football player, saying, what's your quality of life going to be after football? And I understand that piece. But as you already mentioned, as I've said in the past before, it's not up to us. It's not up to these, internet doctors or real doctors, honestly. It's up to Tua, his family, the doctors that he is seeing, which are not necessarily the team doctors, right? So it kind of creates a little bit of a little differential because I think people would say, well, if he's seeing the team doctors, of course the team doctor is going to say he can play. But he's seeing some independent neurologists outside of the team. And they're the ones that need to make that decision. But man, I do not want to see him on the ground again. I do not want to see him get a concussion again. And, this is me being concerned as the person.
It's going to be uncomfortable if he comes back. When he came back. So in 2022, after the Cincy one, he missed a month. He was on PUP. He came back for that Pittsburgh game Sunday night because I was there with Tom. And
Noah Igbinoghene on the interception at the end of that
so
one.
That game was his first game back. Sunday Night Football, NBC, front of the world. That's one of the highest rated each week games of the week. Obviously, Sunday Night Football. I've been in that press box countless times. The first quarter of that game, first half, really, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was so stinking nervous. Everyone's holding their breath every play. Is he going to get hit? Oh my God, that was close. Okay. And that's visiting media, national media, local media. That was all, and that was second half it kind of loosened up some. What do you think it's going to be? Not only in the press box, in the stands. It's a ticking time bomb, unfortunately. And again, I think when he comes back, if he comes back this year, I'm talking about this year, really depends on how they go over the next 4 games. If they lose them all, which nobody wants, I'm saying if, hypothetical, they lose them all, you're 1-5, and then you got to, you're home against Arizona, who ain't too bad, but then you got to travel back and play the Bills, who we never beat anyway. I mean, you're kind of looking at like a lost season in some ways. And then, the team has to factor in, okay, you're going to come back and play. You've made that decision. We're not going to move on from you per se, but yeah, you should just sit the rest of this year out and rest up for next year.
And I want to be clear.
Why are you putting the risk out there on a 1-5, 1-6 team when at some point as fans, you got to be realistic. It's over. Yes, I know there was a year not too long ago where they started off 1-7 and then they railed off a bunch of wins. That's like a unicorn. You can't sit there and hope for that. Okay, that's very rare. And all the teams they beat on that streak stunk. We don't have that luxury this year on our schedule.
So 2 things, Mike. Number 1, I want to make sure very clear that everybody understands this is not, especially like coming from me, and I know coming from you too, this is not to hate. This is just looking at a scenario. Yeah. This is giving our opinion about what we're seeing with the scenario. Do I want to see the kid come out and ball and be the same quarterback that we saw last year, for the first half of the year where we're putting up 70 points and we're putting up, however 30 some odd against the the LA Chargers, right? Yeah, of course I do. And I believe that he has that skill set to be able to do that. I think a lot of us are just really, really worried about, what can potentially happen if he comes out back on the field. The second thing is, Mike, I do not feel the sky is falling. I think that there's a lot of great things that are surrounding whoever's going to be the quarterback. I think if we kind of turn into maybe a run-focused team and we can, supposedly the offensive line has a really good run block rate. Don't know how accurate that is. We talked about PFF last week, and you talked about how much you love that. But if we can figure that out and not have to put so much pressure on a Skyler and, look at one of our strengths, which is Devon Achane and some of the motion before the snap, maybe we can make some things happen. So that's going to mean the philosophy has to change because you have a different quarterback in the pocket, and that's going to be a Mike McDaniel. Exactly. But let's see what they're going to do. And that's all I say. Like, I know some people that have, season tickets.
Well, here's what I'll say real quick. I'm not sitting here saying that the sky is falling. I'm saying the sky fell. And now they got to try to pick up the pieces and salvage this somehow. And they got at least a month because there's a chance he'll come back for Arizona. I don't know if he will or won't. I'm not going to try and guess. But you got a month to salvage this. The sky fell, folks. This offensive line is significantly worse last year. Last year, it was a good run-blocking offensive line. This group, what I've seen out of Robert Jones for 2 games, I don't want to see the guy get hurt, obviously. I don't care if he ever plays again for us because it's just been embarrassing. Armstead, Fuga, you guys never hear. This is not the same team as last year. Clearly, in a lot of ways, it starts right here. And I know this is more of a YouTube thing, but for those watching, you're going to laugh. And this starts with this guy calling the shots, Chris Grier.
Hero of the stupid.
This guy who said, Wilkins and Raekwon, let him go. We're going to sign 5-6 guys. Out of the 5 or 6, you kept 1, and he stinks. There's a reason the Lions let him go. I watched the run defense versus the Bills. They couldn't stop anybody. So if you're going to sign 5 or 6 guys and keep one, he better be damn good. He ain't. The offensive line significantly worse than it was last year. Jordan Poyer, again, putting on an embarrassing performance for 2 weeks. There's a lot of issues that go beyond quarterback, but I have no faith in Skylar Thompson, and I have no faith in the head coach actually putting together a game plan.
We'll see.
I
have some faith in it.
Okay, well, God bless you. Keep faith in mind. It's going to tie in later in the show.
Okay,
That's
good.
What they call the tease.
2 truths and a lie. I get it.
Okay, so let's get to the news. Robbie Chosen was cut. Malik Washington is practicing some, is how it was phrased, but he's unsure. He even said, his words, not the team's, his words. He's unsure if he will play. Robert Jones said his shoulder's fine and he plans to play Sunday. Raheem Mostert's practicing on a limited basis. Mike McDaniel was asked about Teron Armstead. He gave no answer at all. So
he said he's good.
Sunday.
He thought he said he'll be good.
He didn't really give a concrete answer. He said, he said he's in good spirits.
He's a professional.
I don't know if,
he's a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said a bunch of things which led nobody to no real sign up for play this week. And of course, they put 2 on IR, signed Tyler Huntley off the Ravens practice squad, which I actually like the move, which they signed Huntley 3 weeks ago. Would have been helpful now. Maybe he'd understand the playbook and could play, but no, we always wait. Once again, Chris Grier, our hero. So yeah, that's the news. I don't know if there's anything there worth talking about there. And I know we got a lot of people saying that Grier's got to be fun. Look, we'll have that show when the time's right. It's week 3. Even though I think it's a bleak outlook myself, I get it right if things are really bleak. And we kind of know this.
I'll change my password. Wi-Fi change.
You should change it to that and never change it again.
Until it happens. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until it happens. I see we all go on a hunger strike too. Okay. So there, folks, it's an hour show. We're only halfway through. We'll get there. You can't bury the lead. This is the lead story. If it's a lead story on ESPN, Fox Sports, and the NFL Network, as well as last week, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, a show like this really can't bury the lead. We'll get to the game this week. Trust me, we got plenty of time. All right. Before we get to the game, though, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Chris Gates Fitness. Everyone go to the website, chrisgatesfitness.com. Also, if you're on Twitter, go to Chris_Gates on Twitter. It's an online fitness monthly membership platform. Chris Gates is the coach, and he's a huge sports fan and football fan, and he's created this program and a community designed for sports fans. So he's going to help you lose weight or help you get in much better shape, but it's through sports in a fun way. You'll learn how to make sustainable progress while being in a group that's a ton of fun and provides accountability and support. Members get a new workout program every month so you can build muscle, burn fat, and feel healthier and more athletic. In the training camp community, he'll have challenges every month with prizes and awards like a home gym equipment, supplements, free coaching calls, and more. So everyone go to chrisgatesfitness.com, or if you're on Twitter, go to Chris_Gates and check him out. Super nice guy, super good guy. And everyone check out chrisgatesfitness.com. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, go check out I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. Remember the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Audible, iHeartRadio, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I did a show with Josh Moser yesterday. Later this week, we got Jason Sarney and Zach Krantz. Tom did a show. Josh and Aaron, I think, will be back later this week. Although maybe no Josh, I don't know. But everyone, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button.
Mr. McLaughlin has a great point, by the way. If you want to get some anger out, chrisgatesfitness.com. Yes. Definitely a great
Check
place
it out.
to go.
Absolutely. Work out the frustration. All right. Before we get to the Seattle game, the new game we debuted last week, and it's time to play week 2. Ian got it right last week. Let's see if he gets if his hot streak continues. So it's now time to play 2 truths and a lie. All right, 2 truths and a lie, Florida Man edition. So we moved on from the Florida Man game where it's kind of evolved. So I give 3 headlines, just the headlines. And Ian has to guess which 2 are true. Well, he has to guess which one is the lie. And then we'll have fun reading some of the stories afterwards. Again, we play for pride, not prize. So no Googling, folks, and no cheating in the chat. All right, headline number 1. Florida man has 150 live bugs removed from his nose, and he didn't even know they were there. Headline number 2. Florida woman calls cops to report stolen weed worth $5. Headline number 3. Florida man sentenced after police find a loaded gun in his buttocks during a strip search. 2 of those are true, one of which is a lie. Ian, which one is a lie?
I need help from the audience, though. So you guys that are listening, I see a bunch of people typing in the chat. Which one is the truth? Which one? Actually, just say which one the lie. The one
which one's a lie? That's really what
number 1 is the bugs, right? Number
bugs
2,
in nose, 150 live bugs.
$5 marijuana, and number 3 is
loaded gun hidden
loaded
in his
gun
buttocks.
in the buttocks. So it's such a nice way to. Jeff says 1 and 2. Oh, here we go. Hold on, Mr. McDolphin. Number 2 is true. All right. Well, that's still
well, narrows it down.
One more true.
That's like your 50-50 on Millionaire.
David says $5 weed. Who in the hell has $5 weed? I don't know. Is that even possible these days? Like inflation and stuff like that? 1 and 2 true, 3 false.
He doesn't sound confident with a question mark.
Here's our friend from Buffalo, Jason. Thank you for coming back, by the way. Would say the $5 weed because I don't know that weed only costs $5. That was what my thinking was. That was my thinking.
I have no idea what it costs, honestly. I really have no idea what it costs.
I don't know. All right, let's see. Don't talk about my shoes.
I got 5 on it.
All right. So I'm actually going to say the guy with the 100 bugs in his nose because that just seems so damn far-fetched. I think you could get the $5 weed. It's probably not a lot for the woman. And then I do think people are stupid enough to put random things in their buttocks, as you like to say.
That's what the headline said. I'm just reading the headline. Okay. Time for the result. Unfortunately, Ian, you are wrong. Story number 1 is a Florida man story and true. Story number 2 is also a Florida man story and true. Story number 3 is a lie. Not that it's not a true story, but it happened in Louisiana.
Oh, Louisiana. Yeah.
So let's go through this. The 150 bucks. I think this one was somewhat recent. February 21st of this year, Jacksonville.
Okay.
It took a few months, but a Florida man finally found out what was bugging him. Great first sentence. Oh, I love the New York Post. Jacksonville doctors removed 150 live bugs in the larva stage from the nose and sinus of a cancer survivor. Oh, God, this story took a turn. The unidentified man was feeling off from October. So this went from October to February. And it took to February to figure out what it was. I started getting nosebleeds, constant nosebleeds. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom without his nose starting to bleed. And they show the picture, and it is freaking gross. I am not sharing this picture, thank God. So he had a cancerous tumor removed from his nose 30 years ago. And that meant that he had an open space in his nasal cavity that weakened his immune system, hence how this actually happened. So that is Jacksonville. That's Florida story. Story number 2, November 2023. This is Palm Beach, north of West Palm Beach County.
Okay.
And, Lily Rinker, only 23, made a complaint at 2 a.m. from a Best Western that she told an arriving officer that a man named Carlos, whom she had only recently met, left her hotel room after taking half a gram of pot worth as little as $5 to $10 from a larger $30 stash in her grinder. I don't know what a grinder is. Rinker stated she didn't know what to do, so she decided to call the police. Now, mind you, Florida is one of the states, I believe, that it's not legal to have this yet.
Not recreational. You can. Not legal for medical. Yes.
Yes. And I know it's on the ballot this year, I think, right?
Yes.
November? Okay. Yeah, because I saw that on the news somewhere. So this 23-year-old is a former University of Cincinnati and Eastern Florida State professional golfer. So this is the whole thing. She's nuts. 23. Now, the story that was the lie is from Louisiana. A Louisiana man, once again, age plays in this. Only a 24 years old man. He's taken into custody. His story's a little bit older.
He could have killed himself from the inside.
Cops said they discovered that he had a handgun during a marijuana and drug paraphernalia search. Multiple other firearms were discovered in the truck. Thank God the truck.
Oh my God, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, the pistol is more than the pistol is more than 4 inches long with a 2.5-inch barrel. Yeah, right in his buttocks. He was sentenced to a 5-year prison sentence. And got 3 years probation for something else. Yeah, this guy's a hot mess. So that's our. I just love these stories. I love the headlines. I love everything about it. It's everything about it. All right, Dolphins, Seattle. Long flight.
The longest trip. The longest trip, right?
Trip in the NFL.
Yep.
Thank God it's only once every 8 years or so. Again, it's up. Our head coach gets this label, offensive genius. Well, now he's got to earn it. He can't be running plays with Hill and Waddle on the sidelines. He's got to run the ball more, like you said. The offensive line hasn't been able to block anyone for 2 weeks. I don't care what PFF says. They haven't been able to block anyone. Even in the first game, Jacksonville lived in the backfield the whole game. They can't block anybody. They're going to have to start blocking somebody. Or he's going to have to move people around and put out – I mean, I know you're putting in Lester. I mean, he's screwed either way there. He's going to have to come up and navigate this somehow, some way. I don't know if they can fix some of the issues they got because it's more personnel issues, as well as scheme issues. But really, find ways to get Hill and Waddle the ball as much as possible. Achane, pretty much the only player who's done anything consistently this year in each game, I would say. Get the ball in his hands, and he's your running back one. Love Raheem Mostert, the person, and he might play this week, right? He can come back anytime. Achane's running back one from now on. That debate's over. Feed him as much as possible, and hope Skyler, hope he doesn't turn it over, and hope Jake Bailey, yes, that Jake Bailey continues his hot leg of being a good punter, so he can maybe win the field position game. And I think that's going to be a big part of this too. Field position, don't turn it over, Skyler. Let your playmakers that you're paying all this money to make plays. That's your game plan, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing we haven't talked about it, because it's a West Coast team, the injury report comes out late for Seattle, and as it stands right now, I think I saw 13 or 14 of their players currently on the injury report, with I want to say 9 of them with it's either 6 or 9 that did not practice today, including their starting running back Kenneth Walker. So if the Dolphins can get a little lucky and maybe play a team that's more banged up than they are, if that's even possible, maybe there's an opportunity for us to get some energy. Like you said, run the ball. Don't force Skyler to really take over. Although, we've seen Skyler be able to run out of the pocket, make plays on the move while he's moving. But in order to do that too, you've got to give him some time. And that's that offensive line. And we just haven't really seen it during the first 2 games. Nothing that really impresses you that says that anyone behind that line is going to be able to do much of anything. So, but I think it's going to be running the ball. Don't force Skyler to do much. And then on the defensive side, don't let those big plays happen. I mean, last week you saw Geno Smith throw a pass. Who was it? To either Tyler Lockett or one of their top wide receivers, DK Metcalf, and they just took it to the house after 50, 60 yards. And the other one is Njigba. What's his last name? Forget how
Jackson.
Jackson and Njigba, right? That's who it is. I think he had 11 or 12 receptions last week. It was a ridiculous number because I do have him on my bench, of course, fantasy when he has a great week. That's how that always works. But it looks like he's kind of the safety blanket for Geno Smith. So, you take some of those things away and have a solid game plan. You can actually come out of Seattle with a victory, but you've got to rally. You can't play down. I know everybody is going to be everybody's still going to be affected by what happened with Tua. But you've got to come out and you can't come out flat like you have the last 2 games. I don't know how you coach the players to not come out flat, but they've got to be better prepared to start this game than they have the last 2 games.
Yeah. And I I remember the last time Tua was out 2022. What McDaniel cannot do again, which again I have no faith. I'm sure he's going to do it, which cost him the playoff one actually, and it actually cost him that Patriots game a couple weeks before. That was with Bridgewater though, not Skyler. But again, you got a backup quarterback. You have to change your game plan. 3rd and 17s, 3rd and 18s. You got to just run the ball, punt, and live to play another down. You have Tua on 3rd and 17. Yeah, take your chances. You got Hill, Waddle. Let him drop back. Let him sling it. Maybe you'll get 16, 17, 18 yards, and he'll pick up a first down, and you keep the drive going. When you got a backup quarterback, you cannot do that. 3rd and 18, run the ball, punt, live to play another down. Because in that game against New England's offense did nothing the entire day. He's got the lead like the 3rd or 4th quarter. Teddy Bridgewater, we had the lead, but he looked like shit. He threw a pick 6, game over, because we couldn't rebound. They take a lead on a pick. And it's like, what are you doing? Then the playoff game versus the Bills, 4th quarter, late 3rd quarter, first start of the 4th. I can't remember exactly. We got the lead in Buffalo in a playoff game.
I remember that.
You just have to run, kill clock, and hope your defense, which scored a touchdown that day and caused like 3 turnovers, just continues to play well. 3rd and 18 at his own like 8-yard line. He's caught letting Skyler throw. Why? Just run punt. Your defense is he pick. He runs it back to like the 5 or 10-yard line. They score.
Easy score.
Game over then. It's like you can't call the same game. It's 3rd and long. And by 3rd and long, I mean like 3rd and 12 or more. You got to run and just punt and just, but I have no faith he's going to do this because the problem with McDaniel, which again is a show for another day, the same mistakes he made year 1 and year 2, he's making in year 3, and we're only through 2 games. The time management, the too risky first half of a tie game. Let's go for it. Why? You're at home. It's a tie game. It makes no sense. Like the same mistake, clock management stuff. I have no faith he'll fix a lot of this stuff, but we're hoping. I don't know. We'll see. But okay, it's time for the predictions. I got to get the graphic ready. I'm caught off guard here. All right. It's now time for
Mike and Ian's Fearless Predictions.
All right, Dolphins versus Seattle, CBS this Sunday. This is the 4:05 game, not 4:30. So it's a 4:05. Kevin Harlan. Hey, if there's any,
he's our good luck charm. Good luck charm.
It's going to be put to the test this week. That's for damn sure. Kevin Harlan on the call with Trent Green, who's also very good. So that's where you can watch the game. Or of course, if you got the Sunday ticket on YouTube TV, you're covered either way. But every week I come here and I give my game prediction, but I tell a few jokes first. We have a good laugh, and it's all in fun. It is all in fun. It's never meant to be hurtful in any way. But right now, a lot of fans of the Dolphins are down in the dumps. And unlike Mike McDaniel, I can read the room. Nobody wants to hear any jokes right now. And plus, we're playing Seattle. How can I roast Seattle? They're nothing more than a bunch of Starbucks drinking, pot smoking hippies. I mean, to many, they got the perfect life. So instead of saying any jokes about the city of Seattle, the Seahawks, or Seahawks fans, I'm taking a different approach this week. One we've taken before, Ian. I am going to turn to prayer. Name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hi, God. Your old friend Mike here. Hope all is well. Just checking in to see how things are going up there in the sky. I know we haven't spoken in a while, and it probably feels like the only time we speak is when the Miami Dolphins have me down in the dumps. But honestly, it's the only aspect of my life that needs your loving hand to fix. I got a great family, got my health, I have a great job, great friends, and I live a comfortable lifestyle. So I really have nothing to complain about there. Well, not nothing. This football team I love so much, year after year after year after year after year, brings me so much pain. And I could really use your assistance here. Now, I know J-Lo and Ben Affleck are having issues again. And I know there might be pets being eaten in Springfield, Ohio. So I know you got a lot on your plate. But can you take 5 minutes away from all that to look at my Miami Dolphins and maybe help just a little? I have an incompetent general manager who refuses to build an offensive line. I have a head coach who sounds and looks high from the moment he wakes up to the moment he falls asleep. And I have a quarterback who unfortunately can't stay healthy. Now, my request last year was for you to help fix Jake Bailey. And it took a while, but god dang it, sorry
It
about
worked.
that. You came through with
It
flying
worked.
colors for me. It worked. So I won't ask you to fix the offensive line because I know there's only so many hours in the day, and I know there's some things that are even beyond your scope. So I please ask you to look after our Dolphins. I know you once turned water into wine, and I'm not asking for that. But if we keep losing, I might need some of that wine to get through the rest of the season, if you know what I mean, God. Can you please help our Dolphins get a win Sunday versus Seattle and help them turn things around? Please. Amen. In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right. Look, I'm not even sure God can up the Dolphins this week with Skylar Thompson, the quarterback behind that offensive line.
You got to.
And I get no joy in saying this. Oh, God, but I have to say, it will not be a Miami win. Seattle 27, Miami 10 is my prediction. You turn off the music.
Mike.
I'm sorry.
Mike.
Skylar, prove it. Look, I get no money if I'm right on this stuff. I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, buddy. Prove me wrong, Skylar. Prove me wrong, offensive line. Prove me wrong, Mike McDaniel. Please prove me wrong. God, step in and help them prove me wrong.
Okay, and so everybody needs to put in the chat what they think the score is going to be, and I already see a Seattle 27.
We might be praying a lot
Miami
this year.
13. Yeah, no, I mean we've lived through this. We've lived through this recently, and all of our Dolphins fans are, they're saying it's the Seattle Seahawks. So first of all, I'm saying this loudly so that my family can hear me, because when I got home tonight, about a half an hour before the show started, the internet was giving them problems. The Wi-Fi was giving them problems. So when
Every
I
Wednesday,
say,
haven't they caught on yet?
so when I say I changed the Wi-Fi password, I'm kidding, honey. I'm kidding to my daughter. Know that this is just a bit for our show. I'm not really changing
Having
it.
fun. Gentle humor.
This message is for any quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, but I am changing our Wi-Fi password to slide, exclamation point. And that goes for Skylar too. These guys, you try and do too much and you can end up getting yourself hurt. And we don't need another hurt quarterback. He's practicing with the ones this week. He is preparing this game as he's going to be the starter from the beginning to the very end. And we need him to stay healthy. I think if the Dolphins go in with a game plan and they come in with some passion and some fire, I think that they could actually go in and surprise some people and beat the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, the official line I want to say is what, 4, maybe 5. I think it was 5 originally, and then it came down to 4. But Seattle gets 3 points for home field advantage, and they actually have an amazing home field advantage there. So it's really almost flat. So I think that's the odds makers, and I don't know too much about this, but I think it's the odd makers saying, hey, again, the Miami Dolphins have some very good surrounding players. Tua is one player out of 52, 53 players on this roster. And you've got these other guys that really just need to show up. And we got a Mike McDaniel that needs to show up and create a game plan for something that we can win. With all that being said, and I don't know if you remember this during our preseason prediction show, I did say that the Dolphins were going to win the first 2. But I did say because of the traveling, because of the distance that they have to go, I felt this was going to be one that they stubbed their toe on. I need to be a realistic Dolphins fan, and I'm somebody who's a man of my word, so I got to stick with it. And I'm going to say that the Seahawks got us 27-21. With that said, again, though, I think the Dolphins can still win on Sunday.
Absolutely.
I think that Mike can create a plan. Mike can fire these guys up. These leaders that we have created within this organization can fire each other up and say, remember last Thursday? That was a freaking embarrassment. We cannot go out and be embarrassed again in front of a national audience, in front of our fans, in front of our families, in front of the coaches. And I think you'll see them come out really fired up on Sunday. But officially, I have to take Seattle. And then we'll see how they do. I want them to win. I think they can win.
Comment of the night. Here goes to Shelby. We don't need prayer. We need to sell Grier soul to the devil. Let's not get that far. It's all in good fun, this stuff, folks.
So I have to say, but also Jonathan, because I saw one of the I wore my new shoes last Thursday, and he blamed the fact that We lost.
shoes?
On me wearing the new
Okay.
shoes. Yeah.
Everyone blame Ian. Ian's the guy. It's all his fault. It's all
Blame
his
me.
fault.
I'm not wearing the shoes on Sunday. I'm actually going to wear no shoes on Sunday. I'm going to be on my
Fred
couch.
Flintstone. Gonna go
Yeah.
Fred Flintstone.
Yeah. But listen, and some people are like, Ian, I can't believe Ian didn't pick the. Listen, I can't take the Dolphins going 17-0. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. We got to have some objectivity here. And I know for me, it's a little bit easier for me. I don't, but even for Ian, at some point, you can't pick him to win every week. There's going to be a game.
You see this comment from this guy?
He's a Jets fan.
Do you know this guy? Don't block him. He went to the game with me Thursday. He was my guest.
I'm pretty sure he's your buddy. Yeah.
He's my buddy.
He's a good guy.
He's the reason why we lost, because I took him to the game on Thursday. He didn't go to the first game.
Ian's got to go Fred Flintstone to every game here on out. No shoes. Look, Rizzo, you can't go anymore. Sit your butt at home for home games. I'm the judge. I'm the jury. That's what it is. I've decided. Court's now out of session.
Awesome.
There's my gavel. You hate the Dolphins. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Look, we're all hoping for the best here. We're hoping for the best with Tua and his health again. Whatever he wants to do, have at it, kid. Hoping for the best of the organization. I think, unfortunately, they're in the quarterback market this offseason and in this draft, finding their guy of the future to take them onward. And for the rest of this year, here's the deal. If Skyler goes 4-0, we ain't putting him on the bench, baby. It's his job.
He's taking over for Tua, baby. He's Brock Purdy,
over.
baby.
That's how this league works. That's how this league works. So let's go. I want to see Mike McDaniel. I want to see him showered, shaved, and look well alert this Sunday on the sidelines. What I want to see from Mike. Now, when I close out, I have to mention this here to bring everything down for a minute, close out this show. For those of you who listen to this podcast in audio form, every podcast I played probably since, 2016 or 2017, at the end, there's a little audio thing saying, thank you for listening to this podcast. Please visit the website, DolphinsTalk.com. It's a little jazzy tune. Lasts about 20 seconds with a voiceover, not mine, someone else's. And that someone else is actually one of the people who sent in a lot of audio stuff. It was kind of part of the Howard Stern show, not a whack packer, but sort of in that world, making song parodies and stuff. And I mentioned this a few years ago. His name is Psych. That's what he went by on the air. I don't want to give his real name out because a few years ago, he was given a very bad diagnosis of cancer. And he was only given like less than a year to live. And Psych, surpassed that by many years. That was like 2019-ish, 2020-ish, I want to say. And we're sitting here in 2024. And unfortunately, a few months back, Psych died. He passed on. But he did, he fought it to the end. And when I started this podcast, I didn't know anything about creating audio stuff. I had no idea. There was no StreamYard. YouTube was like, not early stages, but more of a challenge than it is now. And I had to come up with like an intro and outro. And he made the intro, but that kind of got out because we changed the name of the show and I don't want to go back to him. He made these, the intro and the outro, which I still use to this day, all these years later, because there's no reason to change it. A, it kicks ass, and B, there's no reason to change it. And he was so nice and so helpful because I told him what I was doing. He goes, I don't know nothing about football. I know nothing about the Dolphins, but I'll help you out. So just want to pass along our condolences to his family and everyone that knew him. If you're a Howard Stern fan, you obviously know his Psych. He was a great guy. He helped me out tremendously when we first started off this whole thing. So been thinking about him a lot recently because, didn't make headlines, but I found out not too long ago, and every week I just like, I got to give him a shout out. So Psych, we're thinking, or I'm thinking about his family at this time with him passing on. So just wanted to mention that here at the end of the show. Everyone, be sure to follow Ian Berger on Twitter at Ian693. Follow myself on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, everywhere at DolphinsTalk. Go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com. We got a bunch of great writers up there. We got a ton of great content up there. I've been doing a lot of writing this past week. I find it therapeutic sometimes. So I wrote a lot of articles about, some of the young college quarterbacks we might be in play for next season. Early stages there because, sort of see where this might be heading. So you want to just sort of get your feet wet, learn some of the names. Sort of wrote an article. There was some rumors about Bryce Young, why Miami cannot touch Bryce Young under any circumstances. I wrote a scathing article on Grier and a scathing article on Mike McDaniel. Both fair. I wasn't calling for one of them to be fired. I just said he's got to fix a lot of things. And the other one I was kind of calling for him to be fired because I think it's time. So check out all that content. We got articles up from Ryan Van Hoover, Jose, and many others. So check out the website. Enjoy the game this Sunday. Everyone enjoy the game. Let's hope it has a better outcome. And thank you for listening. Everyone have a great rest of your Wednesday night. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll talk to you again after a while.
Fins up. We got this on Sunday, guys. Fins up.